Hello and welcome to the preliminary tutor book. We'll be going over the first lesson and the introductory pages in this session. So the book starts first of all with some introductory pages, and it also has a little message from me as well, which I'm going to read out because I think it's quite important. The message says, "Congratulations on passing your first steps examination. I hope you enjoyed receiving your certificate and have read all the comments on the report form. Now it is time to move on to the preliminary examination. With this book and a good teacher to help you and a piano to practice on at home, it will not be too long before you're ready to take the preliminary examination." And then I finish off by saying, I look forward to meeting you in the not too distant future, enjoying the experience of taking your preliminary examination. So let's move on then to lesson 1. So in this lesson, the teaching aims in blue show you 3 key areas that we're going to focus on. The first area we will focus on is the crotchet rest. Then the second area we're going to focus on is the minim rest. And then the third area that we're going to focus on are staccato notes. Now you may have just come across staccato notes at the end of the first steps tutor book if you looked at the exam sheet, because the piece crotchety crotchet had some staccatos in. So you'll be doing a little bit of revision. Okay, so the book starts by showing you the crotchet rest, which stands for 1 count of silence. And here you have your first writing task, which is to copy some of the crotchet rests and write them on the stave below. This leads to your first practice task, your practical one where you start to play, which is called the Shush Song. And this is how I suggest you do it. So you start off by actually physically doing the shushes yourself, like this. Shh, shh. Shh, shh, shh. Shh, shh, shh. Shh. Shh, 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 shh. Then when you've done that a few times, I suggest you then replace the shushes by saying them in your head instead, like this. So after getting over that piece, we then move over the page to the minim rest. Now the minim rest, you can see, is the black box which sits on the middle line. Now if you recall, in the first steps tutor book, I had a little talk to you about the semi-breve rest and how that hung from the line, and I said that was stronger. Now I'm going to add an extra little bit to that to say that with the minim rest, think of the minim rest being weaker, so it has to sit down. So you've got the strong man, which is your 4 count rest or a whole bar rest, and you've got the minim rest, which is the one that sits down. And the minim rest, of course, is worth 2 counts, like the note. So here you see, you have your chance to have a look and write down the minim rests on the stave here. This then leads to your second practice task, which is called the double shush song. As the name suggests, remember, this time, because it's a minim rest, you do 2 shushes in between, like this. Shh, shh. 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 again, when you've got used to doing this with the double shushes, take the shushes out and do the shushes in your head. Also remember, in this piece, you have a dynamic change too. So you have an MF, mezzo forte, at the beginning, and then you have an F at bar 8, which is your forte. So make sure that you put both of those in, like this. So that completes that section. Let's move on. So the next section here talks about staccato notes. So a dot placed underneath the note is to call staccato. And so this is a very short note, and so you have to play it short and bouncy. So your third practice task is to play the staccato exercise. It doesn't really matter what note you play here, but the note that is suggested is the G note on the actual exercise. And if you notice carefully, you'll notice the first note hasn't got a staccato on, but then the others after that follow on. It also tells you to use your third finger. I always say to my pupils that when you look at the staccatos, think of them as if you're playing hotkeys and you're touching them and you're coming off like that very, very quickly. And the final practice task to finish this lesson off is to play two pieces which involve the staccatos and the rests. So the first one is called Bounce Away, and you can see you've got the crotchet rests in this one, but also you've got a minute rest in the left hand, here and here. So make sure when you play this, you play all the notes nice and bouncy. You'll also notice that there's a P dynamic piano, so you've got to play this as quiet as you possibly can, like this. And then finally, Staccato Madness. In this one you have a piano at first, which is quiet, and then at bar 5 you move on to a forte. So quiet on the first line, loud on the second line. And don't forget as well, it's still got the staccatos in, and you've also got your rest counts too. And that completes all of lesson 1. Enjoy your playing.